Okay. So mag-ano na ako. Patay na ako ng mic.
In the masterpiece created by the multi-awarded artist Noli P. Manalang, it cannot be denied that the value of education must never be discounted in any period of time, even in the most challenging ones. This has been the battle cry of MET, the inspiration that keeps us going in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges and disheartening uncertainties. MET believes, as vividly expressed in the painting, that the best way to win against adversaries is not to give up, but to surface above them. MET painstakingly endured the arduous process of uprooting itself from what it has been and of planting new seeds for what it should be. The task was far from easy, but the fruits are undeniably worth it. As shown in the painting, MET was able to strike a balance between maintaining tradition and exploring innovations by widening the branches of teaching and learning modalities while strengthening the roots of knowledge. One thing is for certain, this book is very special. It is a celebration of MET's resiliency amid difficulties, pliant like a tree in a storm.
Magandang gabi, everybody. Good evening sa ating mga viewers sa ating YouTube live streaming para sa ating Day 4. Ayan, nga pala, pang-apat na pala kasi yung Day 1 and 2 ay last week noong June 5 and 6. Ngayon po, Day 4, kahapon po Day 4 at kahapon po Day 3. Grabe, na-confuse ako sa math natin. Kahapon Day 3 at ngayon po ay Day 4. Pero Day 2 po ito ng ating lecture na si Sir Englevert Reyes. Magandang gabi, everybody. Good evening. So, mabati muna tayo. Sir Englevert, nandiyan ka na ba? Sir Bert?
Hi, Sir EJ.
Magandang gabi. Hello. Kamusta ang Cebu?
Okay naman po. Mapayapa naman.
Siguro, bati ka muna sa ating mga viewers.
Yes. So, sa mga nagtanaw, no, gahapon o karon, please stay gihapon mo, no, learn gihapon gikan nako. I will be sharing another set of questions, different topic. Okay? Sa lahat ng mga taga-subaybay, no, mga supporters, subscribers, fans ng Met Family, members ng Met Family, please keep supporting us and enjoy, learning with us. We'll be there for you, all throughout your journey, as you become, a professed teacher.
Totoo yan, Englevert. Actually, ko nga, sila na ang susuko sa atin.
Parang
Talagang gano'n.
yun na nga, sir eh.
Oo, pero Sir Engelbert, babati muna ako sa mga nasa chatroom na natin ha. Magandang gabi kay
Yes,
kila
sir.
Ma'am
Yes.
Charmaine, Sir Dexter. At sasabi ni Sir Dexter, road daw to 700 subscribers. Tama mga kaibigan. Konti na lang, magiging na tayong 700. So ayan, hashtag road to 700 subscribers. Andiyan po si Ma'am Eleanor, sila Ma'am Genevieve, sila Ma'am Charmaine, sila Razel, sila Fahad, G. Makala, si Ma'am Jill Ebanez, at nandiyan din po sa ating chat room ang ating nanay sa MET, si Ma'am Jennifer Alcoriza. Magandang gabi po sa inyo lahat. Good evening everybody. And please, if you haven't already, my dear friends, please do subscribe to our channel, like our videos, share our videos, and of course, hit the notification bell. Ayan, mga kaibigan, palaganapin po ang ating YouTube channel, my dear friends. Kasi talagang marami kayong matutulungan by doing so. Ayan. And once again, mga kaibigan, this is for free. Ito po ay libre. Kaya naman, share to your friends, share to your relatives, o sa kahit sino, na kailangan nakukuha ng board exam for teachers. So magandang gabi mga kaibigan. Good evening sa inyong lahat. Sheng Blessed Ventures, magandang gabi. Then si Lena M. Lazaro, good evening. Si Razel, si Jonah May Koyoko, magandang gabi sa inyong lahat. Now Sir Engelvert, bago ka magsimula, ano naman ba ang topic mo ngayong gabi?
Ay, sir, ang topic po natin gabi is napaka-interesting po. It's assessment of student learning. Isa to sa pinakamahirap na professional education subjects. No, may mga math kasi, may mga computation no mamaya. So, yun, no? So mapapa-challenge tayo mamaya po.
At Sir Engelbert, since ako medyo hindi ako masyadong mahusay sa math, kaya talagang dapat makikinig ko sa'yo mamaya dyan. Kasi tuturuan mo kami ng mga computation. Ay, may comment dito, Sir Engelbert, sabi dito, kailan daw ma-release ang bagong book? I think before the end of June, ma-release na ating bagong libro, and we are so excited mga kaibigan kasi talagang ginalingan ng inyong MET family ang librong ito. It is a milestone mga kaibigan. At alam mo ba, Engelbert, ito nakakapagtaka dito. Kung kailan pa tayo mas limited ang time, kung kailan mas challenging yung panahon, mas lalo pang ginalingan ng MET para sa ating mga estudyante at para sa lahat ng bibili ng libro, 'di ba?
Yes, sir. So,
magandang gabi
din naman nila, sir.
Syempre. Magandang gabi sa brother ko, hi tong kay Mailahan. Magandang gabi din sa inyo. Ayan. So Engelbert, handa ka na ba? Para tingin ko, kailangan mo na magsimula kasi alam ko madugo ata ang discussion mo ngayong gabi.
Oo nga, sir. Tapos, sir, di ba, i-announce kahapon po na magkakaroon ng raffle?
Yes, may tayong pa-raffle mamaya. Tuloy, of course. Tuloy ang raffle maya-mayang konti lang.
So,
kaya
dapat
naman huwag silang aalis.
Nakatutok huwag kayong aalis po. Yes, so we'll begin now. I'll share my screen. Thank you so much, Sir EJ.
Engelbert, take it away. Bye.
Yes,
see you later.
Yes, sir. For a while, I'll share my screen. There you go. Okay. Saglit lang, hindi ko pala siya na-open. Yan. Okay. Ayan. So, good evening, no? Magandang gabi po sa lahat, no, ng mga ating mga manonood. So, this night, no, this evening, we'll be tackling another major subject under professional education, and that is the assessment of student learning. Okay. So, again, we will be sharing to you some 10 questions. Okay. Right. So we'll be sharing again some 10 questions, and we'll be doing mini coaching. We'll explain why is that the answer, paano yun yung naging answer key, and we'll be giving also some input related to the items or to the question. Okay, so let's begin with the first question. Let me read. If items in a criterion reference test have high difficulty indices, which can be inferred? A, instruction has been effective. B, items are very difficult. C, items have high discriminating power. Or letter D, instruction is questionable. Okay, so what do you think is the answer? Right? So, before we reveal the answer, tingnan muna natin ano yung keywords na makukuha natin from the stem, no, or from the question. So kita natin yung word, yung term na criterion reference, di ba? May dalawang uri ng test, no? Merong norm reference test or grading din, no? At saka criterion reference test or grading, right? At sabi dito, high difficulty indices, no? Ano daw ibig sabihin kapag magkakaroon ng index value na high difficulty? Okay? So ito, actually, the answer for this item is not so complicated. It's direct to the point. Hindi natin kailangan guluhin pa i-complicate yung analysis natin kasi very straight to the point din yung answer. Right? So yung sagot po is items are very difficult, no? Saglit lang, ibahin ko lang yung slide transition. Ito on. Right? So, letter B, items are very difficult. Paano naging very difficult yung sagot? Bakit hindi instruction has been effective? And obviously, bakit hindi instruction is questionable? Tsaka items have high discriminating power. If you are to eliminate the most obviously incorrect, no, option or choice, we have to eliminate letter C because discriminating is another aspect of item analysis. And in this case, in the question, wala namang mentioning of discrimination power, right? So dito lang po tayo whether the items is difficult or effective or instruction is questionable, no? Sige. So item in assessment of student learning, there's what you call item analysis. So teachers are expected to create their own exams, no, questionnaire, especially summative tests, written the paper and pencil, no, written exam, usually multiple choice, even board exam, di ba? Multiple choice tayo. So sa item analysis, tinitingnan natin kung ano ba yung value ng item, no? At kapag nag-item analysis tayo, it will help us decide whether when we give this test in the next in the succeeding year or in the next term, no, kung babaguhin ba natin to, may i-retain ba tayo or may i-revise ba tayo, no? So it will be useful for us to make decision. Or pwede rin, no, for us to decide kung valid ba or hindi yung naibigay natin na test. No, whether especially kung summative, no, mga periodical exams, mga quarterly exams, or even yung mga monthly tests, no? For formative tests like yung mga short quiz, medyo hindi masyadong big deal yung item analysis, although magagamit pa rin, no? Kaya lang when you say item analysis, medyo it takes a lot of effort on the part of the teacher, a lot of time also to really analyze each item. So under an item analysis, may dalawa po tayong tinitingnan. Ang aspeto patungkol sa difficulty, gaano ba ka-difficult yung binigay natin na question na tanong, no, sa test, or at saka yung discriminated power, kung itong test item na ito, makikita ba natin kung yung mga matatalino nakukuha ba nila yung tamang sagot, at yung mga hindi masyadong matatalino, no, hindi ba na nakukuha yung sagot, no? So if the item is just okay in terms of difficulty, no, moderate lang, at saka positive yung discriminating power niya, usually we will retain the item, no? We will keep it, no, kasi it's a good reflection on our end na okay pala, no, tama, sakto lang pala yung binigay natin na question, no, sa test. All right? So here only the correct responses are utilized, incorrect answers are ignored. Okay. So pero yung focus natin is only on the difficulty index, no, or the difficulty indices. So when we compute the item difficulty, simple lang po, no? Either we tally the number of students who got the correct answer all over, no, we divide it by the total number of students who took the test or who answered that question, no? O pwede rin, kung hindi available yung data na yan, pwede rin we just get the upper group and the lower group na the top 25% or 27% of the class and the bottom 25 or 27% of the class, and then tingnan natin kung sino sa upper group tsaka sa lower group ang nakakuha ng tamang sagot and divided by the total number of students, the combination of the two groups. Total number of students in two groups. All right? So in this case, for example, halimbawa, no, there's no question pero ito yung naging tally marks natin. No? So question number 1, we have here A, walang sumagot. B, tatlo yung sumagot na pumili ng D. 24 sa C, tapos tatlo yung D. Yung correct answer naman is letter C. No? So sakto naman, no, na marami-rami yung pumili ng tamang sagot, no, 24. And then dito naman sa question number 2, 12 yung answer key, no, yung tamang sagot A. All right, 12 yung nakakuha, 13 yung nagkamali, pumili ng B, tatlo sa C, tapos dalawa sa number 2. All right? So, how do we compute again? For a while, stop share muna ako. And then I'll show you my calculator. Okay, share screen. Sorry. Share screen. Screen. Okay, dito muna tayo sa screen talaga. Okay, so for example, ito po. Right? So, you have, the formula is the number of students who got the correct answer. No? So, tingnan natin yung first question. Question number 1. Right? Question number 1. 24 yung nakakuha. 24. Right? Pero, we divide it by the total number of students who took the test or who answered that item. No? And 24 plus 3 plus 3, no, is 30. No? So, 24 divided by the total number of students, that will give you a 0.8 index. Okay? What about for question number or item number 2? Okay, you have 12, okay, divided by, again, 12 plus 13 is 25 plus 3, 28 plus 2, 30. So 30 still, no, divided by 30. That will give us 0.4. So sa question 1, yung difficulty index niya, yung value niya in terms of difficulty is 0.8, while sa question number 2 is 0.8. Anong ibig sabihin yan? Okay? So, yan. So, ito yung way of getting the interpretation, no? Index range. So, yung question number 1 is 0.8. That means easy, no? Medyo easy yung tanong. Usually, sa test, okay, yung valid, yung acceptable is within this range. Easy, moderately difficult, tsaka difficult. Kapag very easy at tsaka very difficult yan, automatic kailangan palitan yan. Okay? Kapag easy, pwede nating i-modify ng konti, no, para maging moderately difficult. Pero easy per se or per that level is acceptable na yan. No? Pati difficult. No? But ideally, what we want, that most of our questions would be moderately difficult. Right? So 0.8 is very easy. Yung question number 2 is 0.4, no, nasa difficult siya. Okay? So ayan po. Pero ang tanong, right? Ano ba yung tanong? Balik tayo sa tanong. Kung yung nakuha nating index is high difficulty, anong ibig sabihin nun? Ibig lang sabihin nun, it's very difficult. Meaning to say, yung index niya andito na range. Either almost walang nakakuha tama yung mga estudyante. No? Walang estudyante nakuha ng tama. Okay? So, very difficult. Nandito yung index range niya. No? So, simple lang yung sagot. No? Very straight to the point. Kasi ang tanong, kung if the items daw na criterion based, meaning to say, hindi natin alintana o hindi natin iniisip, kino-consider yung performance ng class, all right, in students among themselves, but we are just looking at the criteria or the standards, no? So very objective tayo. So and then high difficulty, no? Kung items daw have high difficulty index, maybe say 0.0 to 0.2, it only means that the items were very difficult. No? So yun lang yung ibig sabihin, no? Okay, we cannot say instruction has been effective. Okay, kasi kung nakakuha yung mga bata, kung majority of the students or ang resulting index niya is moderately difficult, easy tsaka difficult, pwedeng sabihin natin nagkaroon ng it was effective. Kaya lang yung tanong kasi pertaining to high difficulty, no? So ibig sabihin masyadong mahirap yung item na binigay. Okay? Item number 2 po tayo. Yan. So based on the assessment of teacher Carol, her students can distinguish between the parts of speech and how they relate to each other. Her students can be said to be in this level of thinking, right? So A, creating, B, evaluation, C, analysis, or D, synthesis. Okay, so I'd like you to look at the STEM, no, or the question. Ano ba yung ina-analyze natin dito, no? The question is pertaining anong level of thinking. Okay? Pero to know the level of thinking, ano ba yung situation? Again, the students daw were asked to distinguish between the parts of speech. Alam niyo yung part, di ba? The eight parts of speech: noun, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, no, prepositions, and many more, right? So parts of speech and how they relate to each other. So anong level of analysis yan? Or anong level of thinking yan? No? So the answer here is actually letter. Okay, very good. It's letter C, analysis. Bakit? So if we look at Bloom's cognitive taxonomy, no, or level of cognitive, okay, ito yung hierarchy, right? So from ito yung remember to understand, they belong to lower order thinking skills. Si apply is ano siya, halfway between higher and then lower order thinking skills, no, nasa gitna siya. Then all the rest, no, up and analyze, evaluate, are surely under higher order thinking skills. Now, bakit analysis yung naging sagot? When we analyze, there is that breaking down of information into component parts. Now, if you recall the test item, no, yung tanong, yung situation, yung bata were asked to distinguish the parts of speech. And you know, when you look at a sentence, tapos you have to identify saan dyan yung nouns, saan dyan yung verbs, yung prepositions. Ayan, it's already breaking down that sentences into words and identifying anong part of speech. There's already some breaking down of information there into parts. Kaya analysis or analyze. Okay, and then okay, so in 1956, again, Bloom's, with the help of Krathwohl, developed this level of taxonomy. Okay, Bloom's taxonomy. But then in 2001, Lauren Anderson made a revision. Ano yung naging major revision? First is yung mga words, yung levels from nouns naging verbs to verb form, from knowledge to remember or recall, comprehension to understand. And another major revision is the switching of the top two levels in the hierarchy, no? From evaluation dito sa 2001, evaluate, synthesis, naging create, no, in 2001. At ito yung pinaka-pinako, right? Now, ito yung Bloom's cognitive level. Tapos, di ba, the definition, breaking material, the component parts. But I'd like you to focus on this, right? So in the question, if you notice, di ba, sabi dun, students were asked to distinguish, right, the parts of speech and also to think how they relate, no? How do these parts relate to each other, right? So napaka klaro dyan, no? Kitang-kita natin na indeed it's really under analysis, no? In terms of Bloom's, with reference to Bloom's cognitive level. All right, so I think it's very clear. So please familiarize, no, common words used in item STEM. No, so in our regular lecture, usually we lay out all these things. Okay, so here, because this is just a mini coaching, focus lang tayo sa analysis lang talaga, no? But we have in the regular session covered natin to lahat. Okay, next question. Ito naman, medyo mahirap to kasi napaka-statistical yung dating. With the T-score equivalent of 45, the raw score of a student can be described as A, above the mean performance, B, below the mean performance. C, just within the mean performance. Or D, cannot be determined because of lacking information. Now, let's get the key words, no, in the STEM. T-score, there's a T-score. There is 45. All right? So 45 daw yung equivalent ng T-score, o 45 yung equivalent ng raw score ng bata. Okay? So anong ibig sabihin? Is it above the mean, below the mean, or just within the mean? Or cannot be determined? Okay? So medyo mahirap ito kung medyo hindi kayo familiar with Z-scores, T-scores, tan9s, percentile ranks, and all these statistical presentations, okay, and measures, right? So here, allow me to give you a recap, or a recall of what T-score means. Okay, so but the answer nga pala, alright. The answer actually is letter B, below the mean performance. So, paano natin matatandaan na yung kapag 45, paano naging below yan sa mean at hindi above or just the mean or cannot be determined? Okay? So, just a recap. When you say T-scores, these are normalized standard scores. And the standard scores are actually the Z-scores. No? Now, again, with reference to Z-scores, we use Z-scores if we wanted to compare different tests, no, performances in the different tests. No? Sometimes it's hard for us to compare, no? Saan ba tayo mas magaling? Dito ba tayo magaling sa math, sa English, or sa science? No? When during a periodical exam, no? When iba-iba yung kanilang total score, no? Sa English 120 yung total score, sa math 85 lang, sa science 100, no? Ganon. Tapos iba-iba yung kanilang standard deviations, no? Tapos yung mean score din for this subject, no, for each subject is iba-iba rin. How do we know na you are best compared to the other subjects, no? So usually we convert them into Z-scores or standard scores, no? Now, ang problema with standard scores or Z-scores, you would only have values such as 0, okay, -1, +1, -2, +2, and sometimes it doesn't make sense. Okay, to make it more sensible, we have to convert them to T-scores. Okay, and how do we convert them to T-scores? 50 plus 10 multiplied by Z. All right, so yan po yung formula, and okay, parang hindi nakita. Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. Parang saglit lang po, ha? Ayan. Na-hide. Sorry, na-hide pala. Ayan po. So, kita natin yung mean. Ito yung mean, nasa gitna po. Ito yung normal distribution or the bell curve. Ito yung usual na distribution, no? Normal na trend or performance kapag exam, IQ test. No? Ganyan. So, ito sa gitna, yung mean, of course. Pwede ring mode. No? And then, if you notice, kapag 0, ibig sabihin nasa mean level lang. Kapag -1, below the mean, +1, above the mean na siya. No? Pero, if you notice, again, no, kapag Z-score, medyo hindi siya understandable. No? Kasi 0, 1, it's not that sensible. Pero kapag na-convert na siya to T-scores, medyo klaro na siya, no? 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. And that will give us help us better remember na kapag 50 pala, gitna, no, mean, middle, or the median, no, it's 50. No, the equivalent in a T-score, mean is equal to 50. No? And then the question was 45. Saan ba makikita yung 45? Diyan, no? Dapat makita si 45 dito, between 40 and 15. If you notice, kasi below na siya sa 50, that will tell us na below the mean yung T-score value niya, no? So yung T-score na 45 is below the mean. Kaya yung sagot po natin sa question nito with the T-score equivalent to 45, it only means that yung performance ng bata is below the mean performance, below the 50, which is the mean, no, performance. Okay, so I hope that is clear, right? Okay. In the context of outcomes-based education, assessment is focused on blank rather than intended results of learning. A, standard results. B, formative results. C, predicted results. Or D, demonstrated results. No? Again, the key word is outcomes-based. Okay? Outcomes-based education. So kapag outcomes-based education, ano yung focus ng assessment? Medyo easy to, no? And the answer is letter yan. Yung demonstrated results talaga. Although the standards are guide, no? Pero ang tinitingnan talaga natin is ano ba talaga yung kanilang made-demonstrate at the end of this course, of this lesson, of this subject. Okay, so demonstrated results. Now, if you look at the definition here, so I'll just focus on this line here. Okay, this is outcomes-based focused education overview. Sabi dito, the OBE or the outcomes-based education embodies the idea that the best way to learn is to first determine what needs to be achieved. Now, once the end goal or the product or the outcome, the end goal, product, or outcome is the same. Once the end goal has been determined, the strategies, the processes, techniques, and other ways and means can be put into place to achieve the goal. So basically, it's very similar. No, parang kambal niya yung, if you're familiar with yung concept dati, understanding by design. No, so we look at we begin with the end in mind. No, we begin with the end in mind. No, so parang ganyan. And then sabi din dito, outcomes are clear learning results that learners have to demonstrate at the end of significant learning experiences. So I'd like to highlight the word results there and the word demonstrate. Kaya yung sagot natin for that item, for that question is demonstrated results. No, kasi yun na talaga yung tinitingnan. No? When you say outcomes-based education, ang focus talaga natin as teachers, no, is to see kung ma-demonstrate ba nung ating mga learners yung results, all right? Yung outcomes. Okay? Ayan. So I think that was easy peasy, no? Dito naman tayo sa next question. Antonio was able to finish his remedial class. What will be the basis of the decision on whether or not Antonio will be promoted to the next level? A, average of previous and remedial grades. B, remedial class mark. C, previous grade. Or D, Antonio's attitude. Ayan, no? So, ano ba yung pinakatanong? Okay? Kailan ba ma-promote, no, si Antonio from his remedial class? No? Kailan siya pwedeng mag-advance sa susunod na grade level na kung saan si Antonio ay ngayon naka-remedial class? Okay? So, ano yung basis, no? Ano yung basis of the decision? Ayan, no? So, of course, tanggalin natin si Antonio's attitude, no? Kasi usually mag-remedial class lang yan sa mga academic subjects. Pero in terms of attitude, it's more on counseling, no, guidance. Hindi yan kailangan ng remedial talaga, no? Kasi remedial classes again are for academic subjects. Okay? Highly academic subjects or highly, pwede ring mga skills, pero yung mga inaaral talaga, no? So Antonio's attitude, tanggalin natin yan, no? Okay? Previous grade, okay po pwede, remedial class po pwede, average po pwede rin, no? So pwedeng A or B or C, pero ano pa talaga yung final answer? Of course, yung final answer natin is letter A, no? We just have to get the average of yung final grade niya during the regular school year, tsaka yung grade niya nung nag-remedial classes na siya. Right? So, ano yung basis natin? Where did we refer this from? So, as you all know, no, we have the DepEd Order Number 8, Series of 2015, also known as the Policy Guidelines on Classroom Assessment for the K-12 Basic Education Program, no? Or sometimes known as the Classroom Assessment, the K-12 Basic Education Program. So, it has been parang in assessment of student learning na subject. isa to sa pinaka-importanting document, no, or dokumento, kasi dito talaga nakabase yung mga decisions, no? Promotion, computational grade, formative assessment, summative assessment of learning, assessment as learning, assessment for learning. No, andyan yan, no, nakabase pati yung principles, theoretical underpinnings, philosophical. Andyan yan sa document nito, the DO number 8 series of 2015. So please read that document, no, from cover to cover, and remember, no, as many items as you can, right? Kasi in the past 5 years, ganun talaga yung since this was released, yung focus, no, palaging lumalabas tungkol sa DepEd Order number 8 series of 2015, no? Almost every season or batch. Okay? So, as you all know, kapag may bagsak yung bata, so after the end of the school year, nakita na bagsak yung bata sa isa or dalawang subjects, kailangan niyang mag-remedial. Okay? Pero kapag sumobra ng dalawang subjects, naging tatlo or more, retained in the grade level, no, babalik ulit siya sa grade level na yun, no, yung learner. Pero kung isa or dalawa lang, pwedeng i-remedial class lang. Tapos kung nagkaroon ng satisfactory performance dun sa remedial class, okay? Tsaka na siya ma-promote sa next level, no? Pero ito yung basis natin sa sagot kanina, no? Look at this one. Ayan po, item number 3. To decide whether pwedeng ma-promote yung bata after failing the subject, no, and after taking the remedial class. So pwedeng ma-promote yung bata or hindi is simply getting the final grade, no, at the end of the school year, tsaka the remedial class mark, and then get the average. Now, pag in-average natin yung final grade tsaka yung remedial grade niya or class mark, okay, ang resulta is 75 and above, so that means okay na, pwede na siyang ma-promote. Okay? So, if the recomputed final grade is 75 or better, student is promoted to next grade level. For sa grade 11, 12, by semester na kasi, no, parang college din yung setup. So, here naman, student is able to enroll in higher level learning area. Okay? But, if the recomputed final grade is below 75, right? So, student, sa grades 1 to 10, student is retained in the grade level. Sa grade 11 to 12 naman, they just need to retake the subject during the regular class or regular semester. Okay? But, sabi din dito, for subjects that are prerequisites for other subjects, no? Yung subject na nabagsakan niya is prerequisite pala sa mas higher na subject. Okay? Student will not be allowed to enroll in higher level learning area, no, kapag yung recomputed final grade is below 75, no? Again, how do you do the recomputed final grade? The average of the actual final grade, yung actual result at the end of the school year, tsaka yung remedial class mark or yung remedial grade. Right. Next question. Teacher Gina is talking about grading on the curve in a teacher's assembly. This means that her tests are A, cumulative method, B, norm reference, C, criterion reference, or D, averaging method. Okay, so again, the key phrase here is grading on the curve. What does it mean? All right, no, so the answer is actually letter B, no, norm reference. No, bakit? Paano naging grading on the curve? When you say grading on the curve, so grading on the curve is actually an expression that pertains to norm referencing or norm reference grading. Okay, ayan. Norm reference grading versus criterion reference grading. Kapag norm reference grading, we base it on comparison of students' performance with classmates. So, his performance against his classmates. Kapag criterion reference, comparison with predetermined standards. So, students' performance against the standards. Criterion. Norm reference, students' performance against his classmates' performance. Also, norm reference is referred to as grading on the curve, while criterion reference is referred to as absolute grading. No? Kung even if bagsak lahat ganun, talaga, wala tayong magagawa. Yun na lang talaga. Katulad na ng IQ, no? Absolute yan, no? Kung yun talaga yung score mo, wala tayong magagawa. No more adjustments. Okay? Tapos, grading scale determines what percentages get a particular grade, while sa criterion reference, grading is based on level of mastery. Okay? Now, again, when you say grading on the curve, parang ganito yan. No? Grading on the curve. We base it on the normal curve. Ayan. So, we normalize the scores, no, using statistical technique to reshape the distribution into a bell curve. An instructor then assigns a grade. C plus to the middle, the median score, and determines the grade thresholds based on the distance of scores from his reference point. So halimbawa, even if, for example, yung periodical exam ninyo po is 100 items. So 100 items. So the score is from 0 up to 100. Pero it just so happened that in that class, yung highest score lang is 50. No? So halimbawa, itong part na to is 50. Walang nakakuha ng 51 up to 100. Ayan. No? So kung ano pa yan, kung if we base it on criterion reference, almost bagsak lahat. Especially kung 50% yung cut-off, no, of the total score, no, bagsak lahat. But if we use norm reference grading or grading by the curve, we will make adjustments. All right? Ang makakakuha ng 50, automatic A yung grade, no, or flat 1. Ayan. Kung ang bata makakuha ng 25, halimbawa gitna ng 15, no? 0 to 50 is 25. So ang grade niya is either C or B, no? Parang ganyan, no? So we change totally the grading. We base it on the performance of the students, no, among themselves in that class. Yan ang grading on the curve. Kaya norm reference po siya kapag grading by on the curve, no? Grading on the curve. Okay, so I hope that's very crystal clear, no? Dito naman po tayo. If an assessment is used to determine the extent to which learning outcomes are met, which role does it play? Right? Medyo maling grammar po yan. Which role does it play? Placement, formative, diagnostic, summative. Again, let's take the key phrase or the key words. Okay. Extent to which learning outcomes are met. We underline that entire sentence or line. Okay? So, if yung assessment natin is we want to know kung na-achieve ba niya yung learning outcomes or hindi. So, anong ibibigay natin? Placement, formative, diagnostic, or summative? And the answer, of course, should be summative. Alright? Summative, of course. No? Bakit? So, ayan po yung all right, so but I focus on tests as summative. In the regular review session, we cover all these types of tests and assessment. Now, what is a summative test? It's a test given at the end of the instruction to determine students' learning or to determine whether the student has achieved the outcomes or not. And of course, to assign grades, no, for us to be able to compute the grades and give him the grade. Right? That is summative test. Then also in the principle of assessment of learning, kasi assessment of learning is also a summative assessment. When we do assessment of learning, our very goal is to determine whether our learners have met the content and performance standards. This is based on the PED order number 8 series of 2015. No? The assessment of learning. No? So our grades and the summative assessment or assessment of learning, the goal of that is to determine kung nakuha ba niya yung learning outcomes or hindi. Nakuha ba nung bata yung learning outcomes or hindi. Kaya, ang sagot natin is summative. Okay? Now, how about this one? Medyo mahirap din to, no? Complicated itong topic na ito. During pilot testing of a standardized test, Ms. Santos administered the test in business mathematics. Business mathematics, I think, is a course in senior high. Also in business-related college degrees, no? Business mathematics to a group of 40 students. After 2 weeks, she went back to the same set of students and then re-administered the test. What characteristic of a good test is she trying to estimate or is she trying to establish? Right? Is it all about fairness? Is it about validity? Is it about reliability or usability? Okay, ano po yung sagot natin dito? No? Right? The answer here is letter C, no? Reliability. Right? Fairness, validity, reliability, and usability are all good parang principles or good measures or parang criteria of having a good test. No? Test, pwede rin questionnaire. No? Usually, when we develop a standardized tool, halimbawa, gagawa ka ng sarili mong IQ exam, gagawa ka ng math aptitude competence or math aptitude test. O pwede rin more on psychological, like a questionnaire that will measure your self-esteem or self-worth, mga ganyan, no? Or your level of anxiety, mga ganyan. No? So, we need to establish, before everyone can use, before standardize yung tool natin, kailangan ma-establish natin yung validity, kailangan ma-establish natin yung reliability. At also, when we administer the test, dapat there was some kind of fairness para valid talaga yung test na yun. At also, dapat yung tool mismo is usable. No? Pwedeng paulit-ulit na gamitin yung tool, no? Yung questionnaire. Okay, but we'll focus on the two most important component or aspect of creating a standardized tool or questionnaire: the validity and reliability. Ano yung difference? Validity is concerning, no, on the extent to which a test measures what it claims to measure. So you're measuring what you intend to measure. Okay, while reliability processes or tries to find out the extent to which a test shows the same result on repeated trials. No, kapag binigay mo ulit yung test na ito, magiging ganun pa rin yung result. No, nagkakaroon ng reliability, na reliable siya. No? So, validity, it's more on the appropriateness, no, of the content of the test items, the meaningfulness and usefulness of the test. While reliability naman is more on the consistency and the trustworthiness of the results. No? Consistent ba yung result? Trustworthy ba yung result? Now, of course, yung sagot natin reliability, because under reliability, there are several methods, at ito lang yung some of the common methods, no? And that test item, no, yung question kanina, is actually pertaining to this very common, no, most popular method of establishing reliability, and that is the test-retest method, which will measure stability. No? So what will happen in the test-retest method? The procedure is you give the test twice to the same group within a time interval, no, between tests. So about this questionnaire, you give it this week. Now, 2 weeks up to 1 month, you wait, no, interval, then give it again, no, to the same group of students. If it will yield the same score, right, the same test results, that means reliable yung ating questionnaire or tool, right? So you call that the test-retest method, right? And then you have, all right, teacher Andrea discovered that her students are good in dramatizing. What tests could have helped her in discovering the students' ability, right, to dramatize, the A self-report, B peer assessment, C performance-based assessment, D objective type of test. Of course, medyo easy to, no? Kasi napakasimple lang ng situation tsaka yung tanong, no? Again, gusto natin makita kung capable ba mag-drama-drama, no? Good ba in dramatizing, in acting yung mga bata. So, of course, the best and the most appropriate test to give to your students should be performance. You have to let them dramatize, let them perform, let them act, and then you will see how good they are in dramatizing or in acting. Right? So we call it performance-based assessment. So we call this alternative assessment. So when you say alternative assessment, these are all those types of assessment that are not conventional or they're not paper and pencil. Right? They're not traditional. Right? So the term kaya alternative, no? Kasi kapag traditional, conventional assessment, we mean the written, the paper, and pencil test. Multiple choice, essay writing, ganyan. Now, several terms also are associated with alternative assessment. You have performance-based assessment, you have performance assessment, you have authentic assessment, and many more. But we'll focus on performance assessment, no? Because that is what the question kanina, no, is talking about. Okay, so when you say performance assessment, presents students with hands-on tasks or performance-based activities, and there are two components: the performance task or the actual prompt or activity. And then, of course, another most important requirement, no, is the scoring guide, such as the use of rubric, rating scale, or checklist, no, to assess the performance. Okay, to help the teacher in grading the performance. And then, or even feedbacking, not necessarily grading, also helping in feedbacking. Now, there are two types of performance-based assessment or task. You have the demonstration type and the creation type. No, so this is just a recall, no, of the things we discussed in a regular lecture. So when you say demonstration type, this is a task that requires no product. Now, kanina, kasi dramatized, no? Dramatized lang, acting lang, walang actual product, walang produkto na magsistay there. Or if walang physical product, you just have to demonstrate to perform, no, how good you're in acting. So, yung kanina, yung nasa situations, nasa question, it was an example of demonstration type of performance-based assessment. All right? Constructing a building, cooking demonstration, team presentations, dramatizing, role-playing, and so on. Creation type naman, kapag merong tangible products, like you submit a research paper, no, a creative, no, output, no, a project brochure, project plan, whatever, as long as it's tangible, no, like you, pwedeng parol, pwedeng Valentine card, no, mga ganyan, that's its creation type. Okay, so I hope that's an additional input, no, to some of you. Okay, and then we have here, I think this is the last, no? All right, tama, it's 7:45. Teacher Grace, saglit lang, parang hindi ko nakikita. Teacher Grace wants to assess her students' ability to speak extemporaneously. Which of the following would be most authentic procedure? A, ask the students to write an impromptu speech. B, ask the students to memorize famous speeches. C, administer an essay test on how to deliver an extemporaneous speech. And then finally, ask the students to deliver an impromptu speech. Okay, again, highlight here the words most authentic. Okay, also underline ability to speak extemporaneously. Right. Now, again, if you analyze the situation or the STEM, ang gusto ni teacher ay maipakita yung kakayanan, no, or yung ability ng mga bata to speak extemporaneously. So anong pinaka most authentic na activity or test ang ibibigay natin sa mga bata, no? Writing an impromptu speech. All right? Remember, it's speaking, no, hindi writing extemporaneous, but speaking extemporaneous. So writing may be a far off option here, no? Incorrect option. Ask the students to memorize famous speeches. All right? Now remember, speech siya, so okay din kasi speak. Kaya lang memorize, hindi na siya extemporaneous, no? So ano din siya, no? Crush out din natin to, no? Eliminate. Administer an essay test. O sobrang mali na, no? Essay test. Yung gusto mong measure is yung ability ng bata to speak extemporaneously. Ask the students to deliver an impromptu speech. Ito yung pinaka-swak na ay sagot or option, no? You ask the students to deliver an impromptu speech. speech. Extemporaneous, impromptu, same lang yan, no? Like almost no preparation. You give them a topic, a theme, or react on a picture or something. Then right there and then they give a speech. Yan yung impromptu speech or extemporaneous speech. Okay? So in authentic assessment, kasi sabi dun sa question, most authentic. So there's the concept of authentic assessment in assessment learning. And according to Burke 1999, who is one of the pillars of authentic assessment, sabi niya, ito yung mga principles, no, of authenticity. Okay? It has to be a meaningful performance task. No? Check yung ating sagot doon. No? Na dapat magbigay yung bata ng impromptu speech. No? So, check yan. No? Clear standards. No? Di ba klaro sa teacher na gusto niya makita yung ability ng bata to speak extemporaneously. No? Quality performance, no? Learning that transfers. No? Talagang nagagamit niya even beyond classroom. Hindi lang hanggang doon lang sa classroom. No? Kahit kung sasali siya sa beauty pageant or during job interview, matitest yung skill niya to speak extemporaneously. And all the rest na allows positive interaction between the assessee and the assessor. And then there's the emphasis of metacognition and self-evaluation. All of these are principles of authenticity. Okay? Ayan, no? So, thank God, no, na medyo maaga tayo ng konti, no? But I think we've covered all 10 questions. So thank you for staying with us, no? So I think it's time for our raffle draw. I'll give you back to Sir EJ. Sir EJ.
Magandang gabi. Maraming salamat, Sir Englevert. Thank you very much. At tama ka dyan. Raffle time na tayo, mga kaibigan. Ang tanong sa ating mga viewers, sa ating live stream, are you now ready for our raffle? Actually, Englevert, hindi naman talaga ito raffle. Parang we would ask a question once again from your lecture, and then yung unang makakasagot sa ating chat box ang magkakamit ng napakalaking premyo
Wow,
na 100
Gcash.
pesos na ipapadala
Wow.
sa Gcash. O ayan,
Wow.
mga kaibigan, ha. Siyempre, 100 din yun, Englevert, ha. So guys, ready na ba kayong lahat? Ready na ba para sa ating raffle for tonight? Ate Clarissa, ikaw magabantay kung sinong unang makakasagot. Ate Clarissa, ikaw pa magabantay kung sino una makakasagot. Okay, so ready na. Ito na, mga kaibigan, ha? So galingan nyo, ha? Dito malalaman kung talaga nakinig kayo kay Sir Englevert Reyes. Question number 1. Again, ang unang makapag-type ng tamang sagot, siya mananalo ng Gcash na 100 pesos. Pero bago ko magtanong, Englevert, ito ang procedure. Para makuha mo ang Gcash mo, number 1, kailangan subscriber ka ng ating YouTube channel.
Yes,
Ayan.
of course.
Of course. Pangalawa, ang gagawin mo para makuha mo ang premyo mo ay i-message mo ang ating MET Facebook account para makuha niya lang number mo. Ayan,
Okay.
ha. Ito na. Tingin ko, ready na tayo. Okay,
Yes.
Sir Englevert, ito na. Here is question number 1. Ayon sa Bloom's Taxonomy, ito raw ang breaking down information into component parts. Ang madali yan, mga kaibigan. Again, breaking down information into component parts. Sagot na. Meron na bang nanalo? Ate Clarissa, meron na ba?
Wala pa, sir.
Wala pa? Ala! Ang dali lang yan. Breaking down information into component parts. Anong sagot dyan?
Meron na, sir, si Jennifer Taberna.
Ayan, mga
Jennifer
kaibigan.
Taberna.
Congratulations para kay Ma'am Jennifer Taberna. Yes.
Congratulations.
Salamat. Ngayong gabi, meron ka 100 piso galing sa MET.
Wow.
At para makuha mo yan, punta lang sa Facebook account at i-message mo ang MET admin natin doon.
Ano ba yung sagot, sir? Okay,
Analysis or
na-reveal.
analyze.
Yes,
Ayan.
very good.
Analyze or analysis.
Yan, congratulations
to. Talaga nakinig ako sa lecture mo.
Oo nga, sir. Congratulations.
Ayan.
Okay, Jennifer Taberna. Next
So the answer, Englevert, is analyze. Ayan, breaking down information into component parts.
Yes.
Pangalawa na, mga kaibigan. Pangalawa na. Question number 2. Ito, galingan nyo to. Sana naman, galingan nyo ang pagsagot dito. Ito na. This is referred to as grading on the curve. Referred to as grading on the curve. Ano yan? Sagot na, mga kaibigan. Grading on the curve. Ano yan?
Easy lang yan.
Oo,
Easy.
dali.
Kaya yan. Oo.
Meron na bang sagot, Clarissa? Meron na ba? Meron bang panalo na? Naku, wala pa atang panalo.
Nakaka-excite naman.
Nakaka-excite
Nakaka-excite
talaga.
naman, sir.
Si Ma'am Charmaine, analysis na kulit ka na, ma'am. Ay, ayun, meron na. Meron na, Clarissa, meron na ba?
Wala pa, sir.
Ay, meron na. Actually, ako pa yung mali. Tama yung sagot. Meron na sagot, Clarissa, si Ma'am Jennifer Alihudin. Hindi pala, tama. Norm pala. Tama ba ako, Sir Englevert? Norm, tama ba? Norm?
Yes, norm reference. Sir.
Yes, tama. Norm reference.
Wow, congratulations. Another Jennifer din. Oo. Another Jennifer din, sir, no? Swerte naman
Dalawang
ng mga Jennifer
ang
ngayon.
nagwagi ngayong gabi.
Parang
Mukhang...
si Ma'am Jen, suswerte yan din tonight, sir.
Ayan, so yun po ang ating winners for today. Number 1 si Ma'am Jennifer Taberna at pangalawa si Ma'am Jennifer Alihudin.
Congratulations.
Tingin ko sila yung mga pinakamalalakas ang internet, Englevert.
Yes. Oo nga.
Ayan.
O di kayo
So ang sagot po
keyboard warriors,
ay
sir.
norm reference.
Norm reference.
Grading
Tama, sir.
on the curve. At yung criterion is absolute grading.
Grading,
ayan,
yes, sir.
So mga
galing naman
kaibigan,
ni Sir EJ.
talaga
May
nakinig
mga
ako.
notes talaga.
Of course, syempre mga kaibigan, mahalaga ang assessment, di ba, Englevert?
Yes,
At
totoo.
mga kaibigan, I think, Englevert, magpaalam ka na sa ating mga viewers for
Thank you
tonight.
so much. No? Don't forget to be with us in the next session. No? Kailan yung next session natin, Sir EJ?
That would be on June 19 and 20. At sa June 19 and 20, ang ating lectures ay ang dalawang mark, mga kaibigan. Sir Englevert, dalawang mark ito.
Yes. Kung may dalawang Jennifer tayong winners tonight, sir, next week, dalawang mark winners din sila, sir.
Grabe, nga. Dalawang Jennifer, dalawang Mark next week. Unang-una, si Mark ng Filipino,
yes.
si Sir Kevin ninyo. At syempre, si Mark naman ng
Technology for Teaching and Learning. TTL. Technology
so,
for
dalawang
Teaching
Mark po ang ating mga kasama next week. So, same
winner
time
na
po
winner
yan.
din po sila.
Opo, nako, winner na winner din. 7 p.m. po ito, wag kakalimutan. And kung hindi nyo pa nagagawa, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like our videos, share our videos, and hit the notification bell.
Yeah.
Lalo
And
na
tell
for
all your classmates and friends not to also do the same.
Oo, tama. Sabi nga kay Sir Dexter, road to 700. Ayan, maraming salamat. Salamat sa inyong lahat. Salamat, Ate Clarissa. Salamat,
Thank you so much, Sir
Jen.
EJ. Thank you, Miss
Salamat,
Clarissa,
Englevert. Ang husay-husay. Salamat.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
At
Happy
ingat
Sunday.
kayo sa Cebu. Happy Sunday, everybody.
Yes.
Goodbye, everyone.
Stay safe, everyone. Goodbye.
See you next week.